Hello everybody, my name is Maxim and this is Go Read Something number 2, my second book review. After I did my first one in July, I received tons of positive comments and feedback motivating me even more to continue reading and make this second book review. I will also apply some tips and requests from you guys from last time. If you have any more feedback or comments, positive or negative, don't hesitate to share them with me. Okay, so this is the list of books I read in the last 6 months, and I decided from this list to discuss these two books. Okay, so the first book is called Emotional Agility, Get Unstuck, Embrace Change and Thrive in Work and Life, written by Susan David. So this book is not necessarily the best book I read the last 6 months, but it is about a topic I think about and value quite a lot. And last year has not been easy for people emotionally. We are dealing with emotions of anger, sadness, loneliness and disappointment even more than we normally do because of this uncertainty, limited contact, losses, maybe unemployment, etc. And I know thinking or talking about emotions is not something everybody is comfortable with, but it's been really valuable for me since I started to deal with it consciously. Okay, so let's get started. We as humans constantly try to make sense of the overload of information by putting them cohesively into narratives. But people also form realistically inconsistent stories all the time, where we take liberties with the truth, sometimes unconsciously. For example, yesterday I played in a football match as a defender and we conceded a lot more goals than usual. The coach did not say anything to me after the game, so he must blame me for this shambolic performance. These statements that we very often accept are a complex mixture between judgments and evaluations, intensified by emotions, like sometimes positive, sometimes negative. These statements are rarely neutral. If I went for a 10k run and I decided to eat pizza in the evening, that could be a neutral statement. But I could also feel like, oh, I deserve this, my runs are improving, for example. Or I could also feel like, look at you trying to lose weight, but every time you go for a run, you decide to stuff yourself with fast foods. Come on. So these statements can become very self-critical very quickly, and they can be full of thinking errors. I also mentioned this in the last book review with The Righteous Mind, or Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow, is also very interesting on this topic. So being hooked is getting caught in this self-defeating emotion, thought or behavior. We're starting to see these thoughts as facts, and it's these hooks that get us into depressions or feelings of anxiety, etc. We can now start to blame negative emotions for everything that's wrong with us, but they do serve an important purpose and they will always be there no matter what. So we might as well just identify them and accept them for what they are. This is, however, not always how we deal with these emotions. The first category is what Susan David calls bottlers. Bottling up their emotions, pushing them to the sides, rationalizing them. I'm unhappy at my work, but at least I have a job during this COVID crisis. I don't know. They're not dealing with the root cause of the problem, they're just ignoring it. This is stereotypically, and probably also culturally driven, something boys or men do more often than women. You could also be a brooder, who are stereotypically mostly women, who tend to deal with their problems more emotionally. They tend to overthink and stew in their misery. They keep circling around their problems and won't let them go. They can also start to worry about the fact that they're worrying or stress about the fact that they're stressing. These are two strategies that, according to Susan David, are more like emotional aspirins, and they won't help you to unhook in any way. The steps in the process of unhooking and being emotionally agile are what Susan David calls showing up and stepping out. So you're having emotional responses, and that's completely normal. It's completely natural. So accept it, and you're responding to events in a certain way because that's who you are. So be compassionate about it. She tells us to start to identify your emotion and where it comes from. It's often very interesting to pause for a second and see what caused this emotion. Why did I just become so angry? Rather than just experience the emotion and being a slave to them, try to be curious of why they just arise like that. She said something I disagreed with. Wow, I didn't know I cared that much about it. To prevent you just undergoing your emotional reaction, try to create a space between the stimulus, so she said something I disagree with, and your response, me getting angry at her, for example. Viktor Frankl, author of Man's Search for Meaning, says that in this space we have the power to choose our response, and in our response lies our growth and our freedom. For Daniel Kahneman, this is system 2 taking over, and that's also what is trained in meditation and what's called mindfulness. I'll give you an example how it works for me, so I can make it more concrete. So when I hear someone say something, in my eyes, straight up or borderline racist, it's something inside me that's getting quite frustrated and wants to call them stupid or swear at them for being so short-sighted. But when I notice I get this feeling and I have this urge, I stop and ask myself, why am I feeling this way? And is it any productive to react in the way that I want to in that moment? In this case, this person has their own values, experiences and point of view. Mine is not the same, hence my emotional reaction. But does that really make them stupid? So I try to create a space between the stimulus and my response to try to make sure that I'm reacting more appropriately, constructively, in line with my own core values. Another one, as a youth coordinator, I once got a call from an angry mother. Her son was not happy at the club, and she said it was the fault of the decisions made by the club. And even better, she said that I was the reason her son did not enjoy his hobby anymore. She said that they would leave the club and tell everybody how bad it was here. But I also felt sad hearing that, according to her, I was the reason her son was unhappy. And I was wondering, am I really bad at what I'm supposed to do? I quickly identified my emotions rising up and recognized that there was no way to change this woman's mind. And I thanked her for her input, and I wished her good luck in her future endeavors. Afterwards, I made an analysis of what I really could have done better, and if it was really my fault, what we can improve to prevent these things from happening in the future. There was nothing more I could do, and there was no reason to dwell on it any longer, so I just let it go. Okay, so there's a lot more in this book, but this is the most important thing I wanted to discuss from this book. If you have any comments or questions about this book, or you want to talk to me about this topic, please let me know. Okay, the second book is called Can't Hurt Me, Master Your Mind and Defy the Odds, an autobiography by David Goggins. David Goggins is a retired Navy SEAL who has competed in multiple ultramarathons, triathlons, ultra triathlons. He broke the record for most pull-ups in 24 hours and more crazy stuff like that. When I first read about this book, I saw in the reviews that it was really motivating, and I wanted to find out for myself. David lived in poverty and really had a rough childhood with abuse by his father. He was a victim of racism, got confronted by deaths of his loved ones, and was ready to spend his life miserable in his victim mentality. He put on a lot of weight, and he worked a job he really hated. This all until he decided to take matter in his own hands and take control of his life. What follows is truly inspiring. To be able to apply for the SEALs, he had to lose 50 kilograms in 3 months, conquer his fears, go through one of the toughest entrance programs in the world, and show that he was up for the job. He tells unbelievable stories that just leave you with your mouth open from astonishment. If you want to hear about these stories, I recommend you either read the book or you look him up on YouTube. It's totally crazy. At the end of each chapter, he concludes with a lesson or a challenge that tells you that you can do more, you can do it better, you can do it harder. He gives you some tools and inspiration to basically get you off your lazy butt. For example, he tells you to write down the current factors limiting your growth. So what are your excuses to not do the things that you should be doing? He tells you to set goals, write them down step by step and hold yourself accountable. Step out of your comfort zone. So what do you not like doing? Well, that means that you should probably do it, to callous your mind. To make it more concrete, I'll tell you what I did. So first of all, I looked at my excuses. Well, there were not many, to be honest, so that was quite confrontational already. I mean, I do like to have sufficient sleep, so getting up early did not seem like a lot of fun, but that brought me to my comfort zone. My comfort zone is getting sufficient sleep, getting up half an hour before I start working. It's nice, it's warm, it's calm, I take my time. So I did what I did not want to do, which is for 1 month, every weekday I got up at 5:45 to be able to walk out of my door at 6. I would go for a run and combine it with body workout exercises. I'll tell you this for free, it was pretty miserable. When I walked out of the door and it was dark, it was cold and it was wet, and I thought about the 90 minutes of exercise I had in front of me, that was not nice. To hold myself accountable, I made a schedule every week for all days with what distance I would run and what exercises I would do, and I would then put it in my agenda so I couldn't miss it. When I came close to the end of my workouts, I really felt invincible. Never in my life did I start working at 8 o'clock so satisfied and energized than in the month of November. Okay, so looking at more challenges by him, he tells you to visualize you overcoming your obstacle, to do more than the last time you went out there. He tells you to schedule it in and optimize your day so you are confronted with the fact that a lack of time is not an excuse. Again, I applied these to my own challenge. If I knew I had a long day and I had to get up the next day very early, I visualized myself hearing my alarm in the morning, being miserable and still getting out of bed. I told myself not if but when you hear the alarm and you want to press the snooze button, don't you dare press that snooze button. I also made sure that I did more than the last time I went out there. So I did more push-ups every day, I did more burpees every day, and the progress throughout my month was really staggering. And finally, I looked at my day and how much time I wasted on my phone, for example. I muted all my notifications, I deleted some apps, and I became a lot more conscious about the screen time that I was having. In that same period, I also watched the Netflix documentary The Social Dilemma, which made me a lot more conscious about my social media behavior. David Goggins succeeds in putting his own power, mentality and perseverance in this book in an authentic way. This mentality of I will run through a wall if that's what it takes, or when you think you're done, you're only 40% done, this mentality is really contagious. November was a crazy month, doing things I never thought possible, His book is really motivating. His stories are unbelievable. Sometimes when I don't really feel like doing something, I still do it just because I don't really feel like doing it. I really enjoyed this entire experience, and I would recommend everybody to give it a shot. Alright, that's the 2 books I wanted to talk about. Please let me know what you think. Give me feedback and suggestions. Thanks a lot. Now go read something.